Hey there! So, Season 5 of the Master Chief Collection has dropped, and with it, a new seasonal progression slot, new armors, challenges, etc. So, remember how a few days before the season dropped, I made a video discussing the Master Chief Collection and highlighted what 343 should start doing and some things they should do to supplement that? Well, holy shit, I was bang on the money because they have started to do exactly what I said MCC needed. Not that there's a correlation between the two because obviously the video was released just a few days before. It just feels good to know that the devs understand what needs to happen. Hell, I even at one point said, have a super tough and annoying challenge for a helmet, and an easier to complete challenge that just requires time for a battle rifle skin. And look at that. Look at that! I was bang on the money. So, if you already didn't know from the title, this video was just gonna take a look at Season 5 of MCC, see what it does right, what it could do to improve, and also taking a look at the way 343 seems to be handling things. Spoiler alert, Season 5 is actually pretty damn good, and 343 has really just overall been amazing as of recording this video. So, let's jump right into it. Starting us off, we can see that a number of armors from Halo Online were added in. In the case of Halo Online, it was a game being made by 343 Industries, Saber Interactive, and Inova Systems. It only made it to a closed beta in Russia, surprisingly, that a limited number of people were able to get a hold of, but it was cut short and the project was ultimately cancelled. Of course, if you're confused because of the El Dorito incident that I've seen people mistake for Halo Online, El Dorito was basically a fan project that was born from the corpse of Halo Online. During the closed testing, a group of modders got a hold of Halo Online, started modding it into a fan project called El Dorito long after the project was cancelled. However, Microsoft caught wind of it and did the legal equivalent of kidnapping the project, cuffing its hands, tying 100-pound weights to its ankles, and dumping it into Lake Michigan like it was 1920 Chicago, also known as a cease and desist order. But that's not the focus of the video. If you are curious to know more, I did put a link to a video made by Ascend Hyperion for you to check out. With the new season, many armors from Halo Online were added in, and to say the least, there were quite a few people who were opposed to this when the armors were announced pre-launch. And 343 listened, ensuring to add in a toggle so that those who want to preserve the classic look of the games could just see the default armors instead. So, that was pretty cool of them. They basically said, hey, we hear you, and we're going to make sure everyone benefits by the end of this. And that they did. So, how are the armors, and is unlocking them fun? Simply put, yeah. It has been refreshing to complete weekly challenges for both PvP and PvE to get these new armors. In my last video, I mentioned that the challenges are fine. There was just no incentive to complete them when there was no worthwhile rewards. With this new season, all that has changed, with the rewards being well worth it. So, do the armors look cool? The answer is yes and no. There are some pretty damn cool armors, and there are some also rather goofy looking ones, but for the most part, the armors are great. I think that one thing that these new armors do really well is give the more Halo vibe, quote-unquote, to the Halo 4 and 5 art style. Here are two similar armor builds I made with the new Halo Online armors and the Halo 4 armors. One issue I always had with Halo 4 and 5 was less the designs of some of the armors, others were just goofy, but it was less the designs and more the proportions which felt off to me. I think just taking a look at the differences between the two demonstrates this well. The new armors are a pretty clever and non-invasive way of working with two very different art styles, with each getting their respective designs across while blending together organically. Now, call me crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was, on the side of course, a nice little test for 343 to see how they might want to handle the various armors that will be in Halo Infinite, which, while from my point of view has its own art style, still has to be a very careful compromise between Bungie and 343 era designs. That being said, if Halo Infinite were to take a similar approach when incorporating armors from both the Bungie and 343 eras, I'm all for it. Moving on to challenges, they haven't really changed that much from what I can tell at least, and that's fine. There wasn't necessarily anything wrong with the system. As I said, the problem that has been momentarily solved was the rewards, not the challenges. Before it was, oh yay, another nameplate, but now there are actual rewards, and it is totally fine by me that there weren't any major changes to the challenge system. However, They did add in new seasonal challenges with their own special rewards. For one, they brought back the If They Came to Hear Me Beg achievement from the Xbox 360 edition of Halo Reach in the form of the Because You Begged challenge. Basically, the way it works is that if you hop into PvE in Halo Reach and jump from a height that would kill you and save yourself from dying by performing an assassination on an elite down below, you complete the challenge and get this thing called the Mr. Chief helmet. Though, the challenge has been a little odd. We'll get to that in a second. They also brought in other challenges, one being for a battle rifle skin, which involves the completion of 2 separate challenges. This particular one isn't hard to do at all, it just involves time. Really, if you just play the game often, you will eventually complete it, which is nice. It's not super complicated, it's just a reward for dedicated players that they get for playing the game. This is a good start for 343. The key here is to have a set of simple challenges that vary, some for the player that can maybe only hop on for a game or two after work or school, and some for the dedicated players who sink a lot of time into MCC while making all of the rewards worthwhile. This is exactly what 343 has done. Now it's time for them to elaborate. Make crazier challenges, perhaps one that is 100% community driven, make more rewards, etc. I'm hoping to make this into a little series where I talk about the state of the Master Chief Collection and things that can make it new and exciting, so I'll elaborate more in the future. Let me know what you think in the comments if I should do it or not. Anyways, I don't have much else to say when it comes to challenges, so we can move on. Now here is where I'm going to talk about the oofs with this update, also known as mistakes, issues, or things that were missed in the new update. For the most part, everything that is problematic in MCC isn't new, with a notable exception. Really, all of these were pre-existing problems that have either become more relevant or need to be addressed, and they just haven't been addressed. So the first one is new, and not the biggest deal, but it's still notable. And that is the Because You Beg challenge, not actually registering when people do exactly what the challenge specified. I have done it who knows how many times at this point, and it still has not registered. This is an issue across the board with many people facing it. I understand that it was meant to be challenging, but it gets to a point where I wonder at what point does it become ridiculous? I know there's a trick to it, and it apparently works, but sometimes it doesn't, and people have had to clear data caches, or something akin to that. Correct me in the comments, please. So, I am wondering if the difficulty was intentional. I mean, the difficulty was very much intentional, but I have to say at this point, it's a bit ridiculous. I actually put out a random tweet responding to someone having the same issue with the challenge not registering. The person responded, and while I don't condone casually adding or pinging a dev, please don't do that, they get enough of it already, this individual did ping 343 postums about this. To my surprise, not long after, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes later, postums replied, tagging both me and this individual, and below it, there was a link to a post which had a link to a video demonstrating the best way to get the challenge to register. So, good on 343 and good on postums for just being on top of it. Props to them. Moving on to the other issues, they're really more or less one big issue together, which is the state of multiplayer matchmaking. I find that I can't hop into a match without either A, one person or my entire team leaving me in a hopeless match. This one happens almost every match. B, half my team is AFK. C, the match is totally unbalanced. I will often find that I get put into matches where either my team is casually slaughtering the enemy in a soulless game, or my team gets annihilated by the enemy and the match just becomes one giant unfun sweatfest. D, I get put in a match where a troll is constantly trying to kill myself and the rest of my team for no reason before mindlessly crouch spamming our bodies. E, I get team killed for the damn sniper, though this one is kind of a staple meme in Halo, let's be real. F, I get disconnected from the match for no damn reason. And while I would like to say that this experience is unique to me, it sadly isn't. This is an issue that is kind of just there for everyone. I put out a tweet asking people what their general experience with matchmaking was, expecting maybe 1 or 2 responses. To my surprise, the second person who responded was Halo Cannon, who followed it up with a follow on Twitter. So thanks, man, if you're seeing this. He replied with, "It's been about the same as it was prior in terms of experience, people quitting and uneven matches often enough. I've enjoyed seeing all the new armors though, so that's been fun." I've also gotten other responses that I will put on screen. Feel free to pause if you would like to read them. But to convey my whole point about how matchmaking is somewhat broken right now, here is a clip. Look how ridiculous this is. Look at the score and see how it is literally just 2 people fighting my team because their teammates rage quit? That's ridiculous. It wasn't fun for them, and it wasn't fun for me. It was just an aimless shooting gallery. Nobody was really doing anything other than running around the map and occasionally killing 2 people. This update is great, don't get me wrong, but the multiplayer experience has to change. There is no point in doing challenges, especially for PvP, if match-made games are frustrating to play half the time. Nobody's going to stick around. The campaigns are amazing, and I love them, and I will always happily replay them, but the content that keeps people coming back once they have done it all in the campaigns are the multiplayer, or is the multiplayer, I should say. So to conclude this rambler before our Q&A, this has been a great update for the Master Chief Collection. It has addressed a lot of the problems MCC had, but in turn has also highlighted a pretty serious issue with its multiplayer. I think this has been a huge leap in the right direction, and from what I can see, 343 is out there listening to the community. I have not seen many devs who have gone from where they were in 2015 to the genuinely caring and awesome devs they are now. They hear us, they know what is needed, and based on what I am seeing, I am very excited for the future updates and Halo Infinite. 343, if miraculously you're seeing this, keep up the good work. You have a ways to go, I won't lie, but you're on the right track. I appreciate that you are interacting with your community, I appreciate that you are willing to add in new stuff based on fan feedback, and your incredibly quick response times are, to say the least, amazing. And yeah, just keep up the good work, guys. Step on up, it's time for a Q&A. For those of you that don't know, I have started to do these at the end of my videos. On my Instagram, I put a prompt on my story for you guys to ask me about. I look at the questions I get, and I answer them at the end of my videos. If you would like to ask something about myself, or a Halo-related question, feel free to go follow me. I also post my artwork there too, if you're curious. And if you want to just casually chat with me, come join my Discord. It's a small but fun server, and we do game nights once a week. Sometimes they're recorded, so who knows, you might make it into a video sometime. Twitter is also a thing. And since I'm on the shameless self-advertising spree, please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I would greatly appreciate it. We recently passed 500 subs, and I would love to one day make it to 1,000. So, on to the questions. Would you rather have armor coatings as a full cover or be able to mix and match them? I'm not sure, honestly. On one hand, it would be pretty cool to be able to mix and match, like... It would be cool to perhaps make some pieces of armor look banged up and others moderately okay. Like your Spartan has been through some shit or has scavenged armor off of other dead Spartans. On the other hand, I look at Destiny 2 shaders and I'm really nervous. Most of Destiny 2 shaders are pretty fucking ugly, not gonna lie, and the only times they look good is if they are applied to all pieces of your armor, which takes away the whole point of being able to mix and match. Why do you love Halo? I love it because of its universe. I love the stories, the depth, the variety. I feel like that it isn't just big, badass, sexy super soldiers saving the galaxy from evil aliens. It's got so many unique stories. Saint's Testimony details the trial of Iona, an AI. However, this is the first ever actual trial of an AI. UNSC AI and Halo are brilliant, but up until Halo 5 have had no rights in an unsettlingly short lifespan. I love this small story because it talks about what it means for something to be alive, the rights of artificial sentient beings, and questions what it means to be considered sentient in the first place. Or, if you're into the Lovecraftian concepts of ancient civilizations far beyond us being devoured by godlike horrors and then wiping themselves out, here is the Forerunner trilogy. If you want to see the depressing stories of the Human Covenant War, Fall of Reach, baby! If you want to see the perspective of the Covenant, there's stuff for that too. There is a story for everyone in Halo, and while the games are what pulled me in initially, the lore is what kept me. A fun fact about me, because I got no other questions. Hopefully there will be more in the future. I have a bearded dragon, her name is Ninja, and she is one of the coolest animals to just sit down and chill with. I also let her outside, and I don't have to worry about her too much because she's a lizard, and so long as she has a nice bit of sunlight to bathe in, she won't go far. She still moves sometimes, and I do have to watch for hawks when I take her outside, though, so I still gotta keep an eye on her. Well, that's the end of it. Thank you for watching this video. It means a lot that you came all this way. See you in the cosmos, friends.